What's up, RPG fans? Welcome to episode 16 of the Switch RPG podcast. I am one of your hosts, Philip, and I'm joined as always by my partner in crime, Gia. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I was trying to give you like a spiffy title again, like I did last time with Master of Mischief, and nothing came to mind. So
That's okay. It's all right. It's fine. It's fine.
Power of show business.
We'll discuss later.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, if this is your first time listening, this is the official podcast coming to you from SwitchRPG.com that brings you all the exciting news, upcoming game releases, and the latest in the world of RPGs on the Nintendo Switch platform. After we cover all that jazz, we then read your questions on air and try to answer them if we are even able to. Remember, if you want to be part of the show, you can do one of a couple different things. First off, you can use our spiffy email address, which is podcast@switchrpg.com, or you can dive into our Discord server and post in our podcast channel. That Discord is discord.switchrpg.com. At the end of the day, we hope you know we want to hear from you. Gio, before we dive into some news, we got some housekeeping to take care of. First off,
we like a clean house here.
We're like a clean house, so definitely don't look in my room behind me right now. Anyway, it came to my attention, Gio, you brought this to my attention before we started recording, that for an entire month, from the mid-June to mid-July, we hyped up this thing called the RPG World Cup 2018. We hyped it up. Every podcast episode, we gave you updates, We got thrown off last week, had to record early, and I forgot that we have not officially announced the winner of the RPG World Cup 2018. So, we said, I mean, it was pretty much in the books last week. Final Fantasy. But
Secret of Mana just came. No.
There was no like, nobody had to abdicate a win. So okay. Secret of Mana did not come back, but Final Fantasy the series did win the RPG World Cup 2018. So hats off to that. Wasn't a huge surprise if you looked at the numbers, but still very impressive. It smothered Pokemon in a way that nobody else had up to that point. Pokemon had just buried people and then hit the big boy. So any surprise there from you?
No. The Final Fantasy is just it's got so many games, and they're all mixed match type of games. Like there's not one of them. I mean, there are some of the similar type, but they're all different kind of games. So running into something like that, it's just kind of unfair. Now, we also did discuss, possible changes for upcoming tournaments. One of which was being, individual titles, like say Final Fantasy X or Final Fantasy 3, 6. I don't know what you guys calling it nowadays. But things like that. So individual games within series. And we had some other ideas. I don't know if you wanted to kind of maybe take.
Yeah. So we're thinking for a tournament upcoming soon that we might get actually very specific and maybe talk about have a tournament dedicated to main protagonists. Gio, you even brought up before the episode, maybe like a tournament for support characters. But the whole goal is just to make it a little bit more fair, because we do realize that putting poor little Chrono Trigger up against the entirety of the Final Fantasy series, it is a bit of a David versus Goliath. Now, gotta hand it to Chrono Trigger now. Out of, I believe, it was 18 single games, it lasted till, I believe, like the final 4. So Chrono Trigger held its ground. But I would be interested to see what Chrono Trigger does up against a single Final Fantasy game and a single Dragon Quest game and Secret of Mana, So
Annihilation, right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So we will make some tweaks in the future. We got a ton of feedback. We had people already asking like, when's the next tournament? What are we going to do for it? And offering suggestions, and a lot of cool stuff like that. So thank you everybody for voting and for being a part of that. That was a fun month for us. We would like to once again thank Age of Boredom for making the suggestion. He said that he ripped it off of a radio show, but hey, you gave it to us, and then we did what we did with it. So we appreciate it. Last piece of housekeeping. It's an important one, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to take a moment to honor a fallen ally of mine, and that is the word SNES. For anyone who is listening for the first time and you weren't able to go back and listen to last week's episode, I said something that I now regret, and something that I can't take back, but I will have to live with for the rest of my life. And that's that I, on air, called the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, I called it the SNES. I don't know if it's because of my age, because of my lack of respect, because of my region. I don't know what it is. But anyway, the great video game journalist, Gio Pimento, took a time out and said, "What are you doing?" And then...
It wasn't just me.
Insult to injury. Once the thing made it to the internet waves, the internet spoke and said, "What are you doing?" So here I am today.
And get off my lawn.
Here I am today, but a humble, semi-innocent man.
You're SNES free.
I would like to extend my deepest apologies for all of you Super Nintendo Entertainment System fans out there who grew up with it, who hold it dear to your heart. I hold it dear to mine. So from now on, I will be referring to it as the SNES.
Or Super NES.
I know you want Super NES, but I'm not giving you that because you called me out. So you're getting SNES and you're going to deal with it.
That's fine. I'd rather have that than this silly snotty thing you call the SNES.
The SNES.
The SNES monster. I
Sounds
don't
like
want to deal with that.
It sounds like you're mispronouncing the Earthbound character.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it anymore. And you're not the only one who does it. And I know it's kind of I don't even know if it's a popular thing. I have no idea where its origins are from. It just sounds gross. It doesn't sound right to me. Super
Got the
NES,
worst case of SNES possible.
Yeah, it just doesn't. It just sounds disgusting, and it's my all-time favorite console. And to just call it a SNES seems degrading. I don't like it. I just don't like it.
Now, so is it your all-time favorite console just because of like memories you got tied to it? Because it didn't really have that good of a game library.
I'm just kidding.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyway, but yeah,
it probably has the best. I can't.
It's not as good as the N64.
Oh, gross! So gross. The N64 has like 10 games.
Yeah. Anyway, so there we go. The SNES from now on. That's what I'm gonna be calling it. I'm gonna get a shirt that says "Recovering SNES User." All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into this week's news. First off, we've got, it's not really news, but it's a neat little thing. A little bit of Octopath Traveler update. The first couple of stories here are going to be Octopath Traveler. The game is still roaring strong, so we're not going to devote another entire episode to it, but you will be getting some Octopath updates here and there. So first up, we've got a tweet from Nintendo Everything and a subsequent little article that mainly just posted a video from the developers. It was a developer interview, and so we want to encourage you guys to go watch that video. Once again, that's from Nintendo Everything. And it's just Masashi Takahashi and director Keisuke Miyachi. And they chat about the Switch RPG. And they said Nintendo Everything breaks down that they talk about the lessons learned from Bravely Default, the art style, and a lot more. So you guys should go check out the interview. It's about 5 minutes long, so it's an easy watch.
Yeah, they, like I said, like you had mentioned, they speak about the lessons learned from the Bravely series, the two games that they made there. So yeah, really cool.
I think once again, because we touched on this last week, it's cool to see this team because they're so open and they're so personable. They're obviously fans of the genre. They're fans of these classic games, and they seem very, very proud by the thing that they put together. So that's really
Yeah,
neat to see.
and they should be, like you said, they're very transparent. They everything's out in the open. So yeah, hats off to them.
And hats off to
Very,
them. Yeah, go ahead.
very, very successful, by the way.
Exactly, which is what we're talking about now from Nintendo Wire. We've got a story that says that Octopath Traveler has sold out again in Japan. This emphasis on again, because I think we touched on it last week. The initial shipment in Japan was completely sold out. It was obviously they just did not ship enough units, so they issued an apology and shipped out more units, which it was the second shipment, and copies were sold out in a matter of hours. So this thing is selling, and Square Enix has had to issue another apology about the availability, and they admit that they underestimated the demand of the game, because it's also very difficult to find over here. A sort of companion story from GearNuke.com is that it's already the best-selling third-party Nintendo Switch game in 2018 on Amazon. I believe that's behind. That is behind. I can't remember. I believe
It can't be Xenoblade.
I think it was
Well, Mario Rabbids.
Mario Rabbids. Yeah, I
Okay.
think it was Mario Rabbids, and I can't think of the other thing. But as far as third party goes, it is number one. So that's pretty cool because I mean it had only been out a week before it hit there. It's charting really well on sales. It seems to be.
I really want to see what the final numbers are on these, and the fact that they're running out of these is going to hurt them, I would think. In
I
the
don't
long
know.
run.
I don't know because I mean, if you think, I mean,
demand
the
is so
Switch also kind of did this, because not sure about what the demand was going to be coming out of Wii U. I think they short shipped units. It was hard to find the Wii, not the Wii. It was hard to find the Switch for a long time.
Right.
It hasn't seemed to hurt the Switch. Now, what I don't know. It's weird because, like I said last week, that the thing that will never run out of units will be the eShop. So if anything, it may just force people to buy it digitally, and then maybe buy it again physically. I don't know if there are other people that were going to do that. I don't know if there are, or I don't know if they'll just stay away. I mean, obviously, I think that. I mean, you said it might hurt them. I don't think it's helping, but
No.
but I mean, one of the laws of economics is that scarcity breeds. Hey, you gotta have it. So
Yeah, and I forgot where I read it too, but they said that they had sold in Japan. They had sold 90% of whatever they made, so they only have 10% left of whatever stock, and they're trying to split it between a lot of people here that still want this game. So hats off, man. This game is doing really well. I don't know where you're at with it, how you're feeling about the game. I mean, I find myself just, all right, I'm just going to do this one thing, and then I'm just going to do this one thing, and then I'm playing it, and it's like, where's the time go? So I mean, there are some repetitive parts of it. It's a turn-based game. That's going to happen, but I still find myself playing and playing and playing and playing. So it's really cool.
I'm really high on the game. In fact, my best friend in real life just picked it up yesterday. Yesterday he was over at my house, so that would have been Sunday. We're recording on Monday, and he was like, "Hey, look, dude, I've got my Switch. Or not, I've got my Switch, but I've got Octopath on my Switch." And he's like, "I haven't jumped into it yet." But then whenever he went home, he texted me like 6 hours later and said that he had started and he couldn't put it down. And so I'm
Yeah.
sure that he played late into the night last night. And I bet he's at it again tonight. So I love that a lot of people are positive on it. I've talked about this
Hmm.
before. I like to be in the middle of like that positive, self-perpetuating storm. It's fun. It's good. It's good to know that I'm not alone in liking the game. I do see some of its pitfalls, some of its flaws, but
Hmm.
man, those definitely don't even come close to outweighing what I'm getting from it.
Right.
As far as positivity goes. So, and there's just this really cool culture around it right now. We've got people in the Discord, making music, remixing soundtrack,
Yeah.
making artwork. It's really cool to sort of be at the epicenter of this, and it's a really cool time. So
It's
I'm
really
glad to see
taken
succeed.
over, like the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, there's nothing else out right now that I'd rather play on it than Octopath. And I don't really see anything coming up. At least for me.
Yeah, for me, I've got Banner Saga 3 out.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yep.
When this releases, it would have come out yesterday. So, but that's big for me. I played the first two games. I'm really excited about the third one. But other than that, no, there's nothing. Yeah, and
And
I'm
I'm talking beyond our role playing games. I'm talking
yeah.
beyond
Oh yeah.
RPGs
Oh yeah. I'm
for
with
the
you. I'm with you.
Switch.
Yeah.
There's nothing out there that I'm looking for right now.
I think it came out at a fantastic time for
Hmm.
the Switch specifically, but then also with other consoles as well. There are some bigger games coming later this year, but I don't think it's necessarily competing with a lot of those other games, like
Right.
Spider-Man, Tomb Raider, Red Dead. I think if you were into JRPGs, you were going to pick this up. I don't think Red Dead was going to stop you from picking up Octopath Traveler.
No. No. I
So
mean, I'll be picking up Red Dead,
yeah,
and I'm for sure playing, Octopath. And there are some other games that are coming out for the other console that I'll be getting. But for the Switch, it seems like everyone just steered clear.
yeah,
They kind of knew what was going on
yeah,
with
and
it.
and I think that's a good spot because, like I said, it's going to give people time to get up to that 80 to 100 hour, playthrough
Hmm.
before something big comes out. So I think it was good to come sort of early summer. There are other things, but just to me, not to this magnitude. It seems like it's catching fire, and I'm really glad. The other thing that I'm glad about, and I'm glad to see the success. I said this last week, and that is as much as I am enjoying Octopath, what I'm hoping is that this is an investment in the concept. This is the
Right.
proof of concept for what we could get with a second Octopath game, or handing this engine off and this aesthetic off to another team that does another game in it.
Another
Something.
team within Square or
Sure,
outside?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I think it stays within Square.
Right.
But I just think give somebody else this playground and then go and make a new thing. I would love to see like this be sort of a renaissance of new ideas,
Hmm.
new things, because it's vintage, but it's also new. Because
Right.
I mean, playing that, there are moments where I forget that it's pixel art because so much around it isn't pixely. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Hmm.
backgrounds are like it's like hand painted masterpieces. The way that the water, is rendered and reflects. I think there's room to grow in this engine, and I think that there's definitely room to grow as far as mechanics and structure is concerned. So I'm
No.
hoping even if you didn't love Octopath, we're investing in that concept that the next thing could be really
Right. Now here's the issue though. Now it would be really awesome if a second iteration or something else came out after this. You're going to run into the same problem as Octopath did when they kind of themselves compared it to Final Fantasy VI. So people will kind of like, is it really holding up to Final Fantasy VI? Now, for example, when you come out with Octopath 2 or whatever it's going to be, whatever it would be called, is it as good as Octopath? So now you're going to end up with that sort of an issue. So, you know, Who knows what they'll do with it? It's tough.
Yes, but is that a horrible problem to have? Because I mean, you have like Final Fantasy 6 to 7. Is 7 as good as 6? Some people say yes, some people say no, but 7's still a good game. 7 to 8, a lot of people like 8. A lot of people hate 8 because it wasn't as good as 7, but it's still a great problem to have. Then you go to 9, then you go to 10. So like, I would love for Square Enix to get back to having that problem of, is this game as good as blank? Yes, no, maybe, but it's still a great game. I'm just hoping for a leap in ideas, like, because I mean, I would love to see the eight travelers thing, but have them connected a little bit more intimately than they are. I know that I'm echoing a lot of other people. I don't want it to sound like I'm just jumping on somebody else's ideas, but you can go back and listen on this podcast. We said that before it ever released. That's what I'm concerned about. Before we ever had confirmation of what it was actually going to be, are there going to be connections? Turns out that there really weren't many. And the ones that were there to me aren't very meaningful. So I would love to see this concept built upon. And then, like I said, I would love to see this look and aesthetic, this engine with something else. Because, like, I'm not saying they look exactly like, but I mean, if you go back and look at Square in like the 90s and you had Final Fantasy 6 and you had the Mana series and you had the Saga series, all those feel Square-ish. All those feel like Square. But they weren't the same thing. They had different mechanics. They had different ways of telling stories. And I would love to see that, where you've got this engine that's being passed around and maybe the sprites look slightly different, but it all feels similar. It feels like it's in the same family, but they have different ways of telling stories. They have different ways of gaining parties. They have a different emphasis on different things. I would love to see sort of the renaissance of that.
Yeah, I definitely think there's room for improvement for sure, and that next iteration could fix some of that stuff, like an overarching story, like you've mentioned, way in the past. But even in this game, there's some travel banter. You kind of get some banter within the party. I wish there was more of that. It feels out of place to me in the game, but I wish it was better integrated within the game. So yeah, there's always room for improvements for sure. But yeah, we don't want to make this the Octopath episode again.
It's so easy. This is like exactly like what you're talking about playing. You start talking about it, and it's hard to stop. So
right, like I had mentioned, it's taken over. It's taken over our Discord. If you look at all of our channels, it's quite possibly the busiest channel. And just overall, just looking at my Twitter, for example, I'll see everyone is talking about the game. Even people that I don't really think play these types of games, they're playing it. So it's just everywhere. Everyone seems to be playing, which is awesome. I mean, it's not like it's going to be Fortnite or anything, but for a JRPG, it's surprising.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's break from Octopath. Let's move over to the Pokemans. So I'm about to say a bunch of words that I have no earthly clue what mean. So bear with me. This is coming from NintendoSoup.com, and it is talking about how Pokemon Let's Go is changing the way that gyms work. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to read from it because I'm basically speaking another language right now. The official Japanese Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee website has revealed new rules trainers have to adhere to before challenging a gym. Before you challenge the gym leader, you'll need to meet certain requirements that are related to a Pokemon's type, level, or other stats. For example, in Pewter City Gym, Brock will ask you to show him a water or grass type Pokemon before you're even allowed to battle him. To assist players, a new feature called Gym Guide will help trainers meet the requirements by providing tips and advice to fight against the gym and gym leader. Okay. So please, I don't even know, how is this different?
What did you just? Well, what's different is there were no requirements for a gym.
So you could
You
just
could just
bust
go
in
to
and be like,
you
"Hey,
can go to a
boom."
gym. You could fight his cronies in there. You can then head off to the gym leader with whatever Pokemans you got. I said Pokemon. I'm sorry. Whatever Pokemans you got, you go to the gym leader after you're fighting his guys, and then you just got to deal with it.
I mean, I don't
Okay.
know why we're fighting the gym leader. Did he do something bad?
He didn't do anything bad. No.
Okay, okay.
we
Are
just
we the antagonist in the story? He's just
it
living his
feels
gym life.
it definitely we are the antagonist, and this is an antagonistic story that we're dealing with. Just he's like a bully. Ash is a bully. Okay, fine. I said it. He's a
Oh,
bully.
hey, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Just to be clear, that
Yep.
was professional gaming journalist Gio Pimento. This is an official statement. Ash is a bully.
Yep. Ash is a bully. Um. Anyways, there were no requirements. Now it has always had been recommended that you go in with the opposing element, whatever it is. If you're fighting electric type, you want to go in with a certain type to combat the gym leader.
That makes sense to me.
So yeah, so it seems like what they're doing is it's kind of the new Nintendo thing. Like they did it with Mario Kart with assist mode.
Mhm.
They did it with Odyssey with assist mode or whatever it was called. I'm sorry, in Mario Kart. It seems like they're kind of catering, I guess you could call it, to a younger crowd. Now with Pokemon Go, because this is kind of a spin-off, I
Sure,
would say,
sure.
more of a real direct spin-off of Pokemon Go for mobile. Now, not everyone has a mobile phone, so they're just trying to get some, they're doing integration and they're just trying to get the younger audience to be able to play. So what I feel is happening is kind of the assist mode in effect here. So they're really trying to, and it says there, they're guiding, they have their own gym guide now, which again was never a thing. So they're almost making it a lot more kid friendly, where the because this is kind of again another spin-off or remake or redesign of Pokemon Yellow. Pokemon Yellow was a very difficult game. So again, I feel like they're just trying to make it easier for lower, like more entry level, and maybe there's an option to shut these types of things off. I don't know, but that's what it feels like they're doing. They're just kind of trying to help people out here.
So for all of the Pokemon's fans out there, if you guys would tweet at me or talk in Discord, let me know how you guys feel about this, because I don't even know. I don't even know what these words mean. So.
No, you said you were getting into it though, didn't you? Did you
Yeah,
say
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not saying that out of oh, this is dumb. No, I'm just literally, I'm just being real. Like I don't know what any of that means, because
Yeah.
I have never had any like really exposure.
Okay.
I know what Pokemon is. I know Pikachu and Ash, but like I don't know what is a gym leader. What are gyms? Like I don't know what gyms are.
That's
So
basically the entire point of Pokemon. You go in, you fight all these gym leaders to be the biggest bully in the world.
okay. Well, I mean, if Gio's correct, all I gotta do is play one of them, and I've played them all. So
I'm not even joking. That's
So,
really
gotta
they've
catch them
added
all.
like
Gotta
tiny.
catch them all. That just means that you gotta just catch one of them.
Yeah, man, and I think with Pokemon X, I'm sorry, Pokemon Y, I was determined to catch them all. A living Pokédex, meaning I have literally every single one of these Pokemon. And I have quite a bit. I dedicated a lot of time, a lot more than I'd like to say on this podcast.
You're among
Um,
friends.
yeah, it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. It's embarrassing actually. So, and I was trying to do it legitimately. I wasn't trying to cheat or anything. Like, you go on YouTube, everyone's got some sort of method to try and catch them all. But, there are some that are really difficult to get where they're just kind of event type Pokemon where you have to, say, for example, go to Toys R Us. Moment of silence. You got to go to Toys R Us or GameStop or wherever. And that's the only time you can ever get it. And if you miss that opportunity, you're done. You never get that Pokemon. So it became really hard to try and get those Pokemon, but I got quite a bit. I want to say I was about 100 or so off of about 800. So I did pretty good, considering, I guess, kind of a late entry Pokemon game. That's really when I started to try and collect them all, was Pokemon Y, and that wasn't that long ago. But anyways, yeah, that's my little Pokemon story for you.
Look at you. Look at you. All right. So last piece of news is sad piece, but we did want to announce it, report it. According to NintendoSoup.com, famed illustrator Hiroshi Kajiyama of games such as Golden Sun and Shining Force has passed away. It was announced by his son on Twitter on July 14th. So, our thoughts reach out to them, his family, and all his colleagues and people that have known him over the years. Those are some pretty big games, pretty big franchises, and I know he made quite the impact in the industry. So,
yeah, for sure.
For sure. All right, let us now move along and talk about what we've been playing.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go first because I know it's not going to be too long.
No, essentially I was on vacation, so I purposely did not bring my Switch. It was for me to just kind of get away from it all. Spent the whole time with the family. We went to New Hampshire, we went kayaking, fishing, all the family stuff. It was a good time, but unfortunately I didn't play too much.
Now, is that like the Skyrim AR game or something? Like, I mean,
what, the fishing
whole outdoors? I don't understand. Is that like, were you leveling up and something?
No. This is real life, Phil.
Were you like scanning trees for XP points or something?
Nothing. No,
Mm-hmm.
This is I was in the water. I was fishing with a real fishing pole.
Like in Final Fantasy 15.
No, this you're not listening to me. All right, I feel like I'm not. You're not listening. This is real life. You're looking at me weird.
Okay.
And that's another thing we didn't mention at the top of the episode. We're now on YouTube, right? So you can actually see our faces.
Yeah, you can. You can see me zoning out when Gio talks.
Well, you actually nod off. But what is it? YouTube.switchrpg.com. I believe that's what it is.
Yes, that is right. Yes.
So so you can see Phil kind of space out and flake out there, but so yeah, I did the whole family thing. It was I had a great time with the wife and kids, and we had some other family members join us, so it was a good time.
Great.
But unfortunately, I didn't play too much.
Cool. Well, that means that I get to talk now because I have
nap time.
Go get your honest sweet tea or whatever it was that you were drinking that one time.
It's Snapple.
The
Okay.
Snapple. Yeah. Sorry.
Snapple.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's introduce this new segment to the Switch RPG podcast. It is going to be a little bit of podcast inception here because I'm introducing this whole brand new podcast called Oldest is Goldest, a retro gaming podcast. Welcome, everybody. My name is Phil Opinion. I'm your host today. And what we're going to be talking about today is a little bit of retro gaming. That's what we're going to do every episode here. And this week in that retro corner, we've got the granddaddy of them all, Dragon Quest 1. So for the next 2 minutes, I'm just going to talk about playing Dragon Quest 1. I'm almost finished with it. I have sort of a love-hate relationship with it. Now let me set it up for you. I am playing a copy that is technically it was never released. I have the Japanese import of the SNES.
Ooh, you almost did it. You almost did it.
The SNES version of Dragon Quest 1 and 2. It was a compilation cart that came out in Japan only. It was released on the GBA in the US several years after, but they had to do things with the visuals to put it on the GBA, and I just didn't even want to go that route. So I got the copy of that and then did some things to it so that I could patch it with a US translation, which is online because the internet is amazing. And so I'm playing it that way. It is super hard It is super hard. If you've ever heard anything about DQ1, it's a grind fest, and it was originally released on the NES and was very grindy, very unbalanced. It was very, very difficult, very hard. But the SNES version was using, I want to say it was the DQ5 engine. Like they ported it over, they improved the visuals. It looks really, really, really good on the SNES, and they balanced the combat. It is still difficult without being overbearing. So I wouldn't say like I'm getting face rolled in combat necessarily. The difficulty comes in just some of the very archaic mechanics, because while I'm really enjoying this game, I'm also really hating a lot of it. Like it pushes back at every sort of avenue that I really want to love it. But because there are things like that would are just convoluted to us today. But there's only one save point in the whole game. You can talk to the king in the initial castle, and so then every time that you venture out, you don't get a save point as you go out, so you've always got to come back. Now, once you get to a certain level, you get a spell that returns you straight to the castle. You can also buy items that return you to the castle, but then you have to actually physically walk back out into the world. Now, on one side, that is infuriating, frustrating. On the other, it does really, really, really make it feel dangerous. It makes the world feel really big, because you never want to get too far. Now you can rest in inns, like every other RPG after it did that. You can rest in inns to replenish your health and mana, but you can't save. So I'm having a lot of fun, but it is very, very grindy. It's hard to make money, and I'm almost done with it. So there's my little venture into the past. Now, there's some really cool things about it though. Like I kind of like the way where like each town sort of has its own little story. There's very little main plot, so that's kind of what you're getting, is sort of the look into sort of the lives of these citizens in these cities. And then I have read that same world is the one that's used for Dragon Quest II, and you actually play the ancestor. You played the descendants of your hero from Dragon Quest 1. You play the descendants in Dragon Quest 2. I think that's pretty cool. So, but yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it.
That's called Dragon Warrior though, right? Is it?
That in the US it was called Dragon Warrior. Yeah.
Okay. I do have that then. Because I was
do you have
like,
the NES cart?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. Actually, that one might be the complete boxed copy I have. Not new, but complete. I didn't. Again, the NES, when I first got it, I was way too young to be playing those games, so I never played it. I mean, I played Final Fantasy, the original Final Fantasy, and it was just way over my head, and I never went back. But I would think going back now, it would be not easier, but a lot easier to understand. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm playing with a guide, which has saved my life, because if I didn't, like, I wouldn't know just how much to grind. Because like they give you the, hey, before you do this, make sure you're this specific level.
Right.
And when I say that it's a grind fest, I'm saying like you'll do like a little quest line, and then it's like grind for an hour.
Wow.
You know, just straight, whether that is grinding levels or grinding for money. Because it's like you don't want to face this next boss without having this tier of armor. So it is very archaic. I would not necessarily suggest it to everyone, but from looking at the history of the genre, I think it's been really cool to go back and see, wow, okay, so this started this trend, and so you know.
So based on the guide, you can kind of tell where you're at with the game, right? Are you most of the way done, halfway done?
Oh, I would say I'm more than 3/4 of the way done. I just have to go and get all of the final armor, and then I believe I am ready to face like the final dungeon.
Okay. And how many hours are you in at it now?
8 to 10. It's not very long, you know.
Okay.
8 to 10.
It's just a
and some of that-
difficulty.
yeah,
Yeah,
and some
but
of that is grinding.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you think about it, I mean, you're playing. I'm guessing you're playing it on PC, maybe, or
Yeah.
okay. So you're kind of able to save it there, right?
Yes, save
All right.
states. Yeah.
Save states. Okay. So if you think about it, way back when, you would have to sit for at least 4 hours, because that save spot is basically about the halfway point of the game. So you'd have to have major gaming sessions going on, 4 hour gaming session or another four, or whatever it might be. Once you get to that first save spot
Well,
on the NES.
yeah. Well. I mean, you get to that first save spot initially, and then you'll like you find yourself always kind of coming back. You can always come back every every
Okay,
so
I
often.
got you.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. So it's not just a one-time deal then.
Oh no.
One-
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, you can always come back. It's just like you never want to get too far, and then kind of get stuck out there. I actually have sort of a tragic story about that I don't want to get into, because I literally just got so sad when it happened last night. I just went to bed. I was like,
Oh,
my night is done. Like, yeah. So, but it's cool. It's cool. I'm really enjoying it, and yeah. So that's
Nice.
gonna wrap up your oldest is goldest. Check back in at another week for.
do you know what you're
more
playing
adventure.
next?
Yes, actually, I
Or do you want to surprise us with that?
will surprise
It's
you
up
with
to
that.
you.
Actually, I'm gonna
Oh.
surprise you with that. Yeah.
Oh boy, Secret of Mana. Yes. No.
Could be, but no, it's not.
Okay. All right.
Um, all right. So I also did. I've been playing Octopath, but I'll be playing that for the rest of my life. So
Yeah.
all right. So let's look at the sales and releases for this week, and the sales and releases are brought to you by Switch List, the iPhone and Android app designed to help keep your gaming life organized. Do you feel like the Switch eShop is a mess? Gio, do you feel like that?
It can be a mess. Yeah. Very unorganized sometimes. Yeah.
Do you find yourself sometimes needing to just find information for a certain game very quickly?
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of clunky.
Yeah.
To say, for example, search for a specific game.
Yeah, I would say
in
so.
the eShop.
So what's cool is Switch List makes it a breeze to find exactly what you want in just a few finger swipes. You can search, sort, and scroll through only what you want to see. Switch List, organize the clutter in your eShop life. Geo, on sale this week, we've got Fear Effect Sedna for $11.99. One More Dungeon, $5.99, and Regalia of Men and Monarchs, the Royal Edition, for $21.25. So there you go.
Very nice.
Games releasing this week, we've got some of the stuff that released last week since we recorded, which was on the 15th. So we actually have several games here. I think actually I announced most of this last week. So the games releasing this week would be Banner Saga 3. Yeah, and I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah. Not a good game, but that's okay.
Oh, no.
All right. I'm just kidding. JK, everyone. Relax.
JKOL. All right, cool. So let's get into some listener questions. We got some
Sweet.
questions this here. Gio, you got those up in front of you?
I do. Question from Adam. So here's your question for the week. If it's not too late, he kind of missed the boat on the last episode. So yeah, what RPG have you played had the most engaging first 60 minutes? Like you were hooked in immediately for the rest of the adventure. So it's kind of a two-parter. That was one, and then two, your favorite RPG story. For me, the first 60 minutes, The Witcher 3 really had me hooked. From say the first monster you had to fight. I forget what it was called, but it was like this. Was it a griffin? Yeah, it was just big and terrifying. I didn't know what to expect, and it just got me. like hooked into the combat, and like from then on it was just, you know, the hours and hours and hours, tens of hundreds of hours, whatever it was. But that was definitely the one that really hooked me in the first 60 minutes. Favorite RPG story. I'll let you answer that first one while I kind of think of this one.
Okay, so first 60 minutes for a game. Good lord, I had this decided earlier. Oh, I said I was going to cheat. Breath of the Wild. I know.
Why? Wait,
I know.
why do you consider it cheating? Why? Tell me why.
Because a lot of people don't consider Zelda games as RPGs, and I'm not even saying anymore. I said I was convinced, but I feel like Breath of the Wild does have a bit of an RPG style to it. I do. I think that. So
You can think whatever you want.
I said I'm cheating.
Wrong.
I said I'm cheating. But no, the first 60 minutes of that game were phenomenal, because like the cool thing about that is if you go back and play the beginning of that, there's basically no like intro cutscene. So you're not I'm not saying waste. A lot of games waste it. There's a lot of cool intro cutscenes, but like everything was very efficient. You're dropped in and you're playing within like 20 seconds.
Right.
And then the thing with Breath of the Wild is like everything you do playing is like interesting. So the first 60 minutes of that game is very efficient. And by the first hour, you sort of have the building blocks of the next 300 hours, you know? So
Yeah.
I do like that.
Yeah. So your favorite RPG story. Now, I'm not sure if he means like within the game or just kind of like a link between like a RPG. I'm not sure where he was.
I'm gonna say like RPG
within the game
story. Yeah.
Okay.
Like your favorite storyline.
All right. I'm not gonna say Secret of Mana. I know you were thinking that, and I know you're not gonna say that dragon game that you always talking about.
Yeah.
Now Dark Souls, this is a little bit tricky because the story is not narrated to you at all. It's actually very deeply hidden in there in the lore of Dark Souls. You actually need to do a lot of digging in Dark Souls to figure out what is going on. For me, that was fun. That was exciting. And I did actually have to watch some explanation videos in this because you miss so much. And some people just have a lot more time than I do to catch everything. But when you actually are able to connect all the dots in Dark Souls, it is awesome. And like the way these people think over there.
Yeah.
From software, it's just a phenomenal story to me, and it's done so well and so well thought. Like it's just very well thought out, from beginning to end, from one Dark Souls game to the next for me, it would have to be Dark Souls. Would have the best RPG story, and it's not so much in your face though. That's the only issue with it, you know.
I am also going to go sort of unconventional here, because because you were saying like, oh, you're not going to say Secret of Mana. I don't want to feel like I'm saying Dragon Age every time, because Dragon Age Origins I think is my favorite story. But I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say Final Fantasy VI, because that's a phenomenal story with the best characters in video game history, and just a phenomenal storytelling, both subtly and in your face. But anyway, I am officially going to go, for the purpose of this question, I'm going to go Xenoblade Chronicles 1. Is a story that going in, I did not know I was going to love as much as I did. There's a lot of discussion on which is better, Xenoblade Chronicles 1, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. There are pros and cons to both.
Sure.
But I will say, like, going into 2, I had expectations for it. Going into 1, I really did not know what to think, and it blew me away. The mixture of music and characters and the actual the way that the story is told. I really connected and liked Xenoblade Chronicles 1 storyline. So that's what I'm gonna throw into my hat there.
That's acceptable. It's acceptable. I'll accept it.
Not an RPG. This is, I believe, I didn't put the name down in there, but anyway, I think this is Captain Volger. Not an RPG, but what kind of DLC would you like to see for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? Any specific characters or features you would want?
This can't be his question because typically he'll put a y'all in there.
True.
And I don't see a y'all in here. But let me answer this question. With Nintendo in their crossplay fiasco or whatever they're trying to do with crossplay, I would like to see Halo, possibly with Microsoft, get involved in here with the Warthog. You got Master Chief in there. Why not? You know?
Go for it. I would love any day of the week. I would love to see some Final Fantasy crossover stuff. See like, I don't know, Chocobo cars.
Now would it be like the it's the Regalia? Is that what it's called?
So you could have that. You could have the Regalia. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, and there were cars in 8. There were cars in 7. You could have like Magitech armor cars. You could have for your parachute or whatever, your hang glider, you could have an airship easily.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Final Fantasy is right for that. I think you could sort of dip into the Smash Brothers, array of characters
Roster.
and say,
Yeah.
hey, let's bring them over and cardify it. Now,
Right.
For this question, I don't think I was aware that there was going to be more DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yeah, they just came out with Breath of the Wild with the Link and the
You're
motorbike.
so right. You're so right. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, they
okay.
they
Yeah,
did.
which I think was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty darn cool.
Now, if they were to do a Chocobo? It has to be in the style of like the old-fashioned Roadrunner. I don't know if you remember the Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. Like it needs to be a real Chocobo. I don't want like a Chocobo slap, like a picture of a Chocobo slapped on a car. It needs to be the actual Chocobo. Like you're sitting on a Chocobo, you're riding a Chocobo.
I think it should have the mechanics of a motorcycle, but yeah, it's got like the animation of a running Chocobo.
However they figure it out. I don't know what magic they do over there, okay, at Nintendo, but it needs to look and feel like a real Chocobo. Okay.
There you go.
All I'm saying.
Which I had said that about the hang glider, but if it's a Chocobo, literally it just opens its wings and glides.
That's it.
That's it.
It's all like it's already done.
I'm giving it to you, Nintendo. Good Lord. All right. So then we got with the success of Octopath Traveler on the Switch, how long do you think it will take Square Enix to start porting older games to the Switch?
Now, the success of the Switch has been happening already. The fact that Square Enix hasn't taken advantage of that already makes me believe that maybe they won't do it. Kind of disappointing, I mean, I'm not sure how long a port of an older game from Square Enix would take to get over here, but I would have felt like it would have already been here if they were gonna do it. So,
quit smashing my dreams.
Sorry, bro.
So for me, when do I think it will happen? I think it's got to start happening within the next year. So
you mean just word of it, not released this year? Because it's kind of.
I'm not saying this
short.
year. I'm not saying this year. I'm saying like I would say by holiday next year.
Oh, okay.
I would love to have something.
Okay, so say for example, like how old are we talking? Are we talking like Final Fantasy 10?
So that is the great question is, okay, so where in the series would it happen? If I'm saying most realistically, because if we go by recent like history with Square and what their trends have been, I think you've got to look at like 10 or 12 as a prime target for a port.
Mm-hmm.
You've got 10 that is wildly is loved by a lot of people, and it already runs on Vita. So that whole compilation, the 10-2 compilation.
Yeah, I feel like they could do that.
Fits.
Yep.
12 just sort of had its re-release last year on PS4 and PC. I do have some concerns over if that would run, because I don't know, since they did such a big jump in visuals and things like that, because it was the jump from PS2 to
three.
to PS4.
Okay.
Yeah, so
It was never on 3.
no, and that was the thing, because like 10 had sort of the steps.
Yeah.
But no, I mean 12 had not had a release since PS2, since its actual release. So that's a big jump, and I just don't know, can you pull that back? Can you de-spec it to run on the way that the Switch would need it to run? But I think that you look at those two as targets. My pie in the sky would obviously be like 4, 5, 6. I love that era. I know a lot of people, would give a lot for like a 7 and 9.
Right.
I bet 9.
I like 9. Yeah.
9 would sell a bajillion.
I feel like any of them really. He could just release all of them.
Yeah.
And they would just sell like instantly.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't want to be all Final Fantasy here. I mean, I think the Mana stuff. Makes
That's what I was going to mention next. Yep.
Now, isn't there already in Japan going to be something to do with the Mana series? Because I know that we got like the Secret of Mana remake, but but Japan was getting some other sort of remaster of some sorts. I don't know.
I don't recall.
I don't know details.
You could be right. I don't remember.
But I mean, I think something with the Mana series. I think Chrono Trigger makes a lot of sense. My hesitation with all of these is that those types, for whatever reason, the pre-3D era for Square, they're having a lot of trouble figuring out remasters and ports, because they want to change things that don't really need to change, because I think that they're trying to make it more accessible, but that's not really what you need to be doing with those old games, because I don't think you're necessarily
fix the mistakes.
Yeah,
that's really all they need to touch.
Because with something like a Final Fantasy VI, and it's got the historically bad port to mobile, and that's like the only thing that we've got right now, as far as 6 on a modern device. Is like, you're not getting new fans into the series with this, oh, look, Final Fantasy VI. I just don't think you're getting new fans. So if you're not getting new fans with a modernized, let's change the UI, all this, why are you ruining it for the people that were going to buy it? Like you're going to, people who already played it are going to buy it. They just want what that experience was back then. They want to relive it now. So why update things that shouldn't be? Why ruin the sprites? Why ruin the look of the game? It was gorgeous before, and now let's modernize it, for this new audience and make it look like it was, a bad attempt on RPG Maker or something.
Right. It definitely doesn't need to be that. Just fix glaring errors. If there was a real bad bug in there, fix the bugs, and that's it. It doesn't. People love Final Fantasy VI the way it was. It doesn't really need to be changed.
You don't have to change perfection. That's just a fact.
Well, let's just not throw that word around. I don't like to throw that word around lately. Just saying. I'm just saying. I mean, I know that that's kind of like the pinnacle, especially if you mock that game in our Discord server, which I have done. You could be, vilified for it.
Farstream has the power. He has the band stick.
I know. He poked me with it before. I mean, I changed the name of Discord channel. Yeah. And I felt the wrath.
Well, no, you call it Final Fantasy 3 too. I mean, come on.
I did call it Final Fantasy 3. No, he didn't do anything. He was cool about it. I was just joking around.
All right, so we got favorite Switch indie game so far. Was it? Oh yeah, I totally messed up and didn't put the names in here. I can't remember if this was Adam. I think this was Adam, maybe. But he asked, what's the favorite Switch indies so far. He says Hollow Knight, Celeste, Payto Box, and then he says that he hopes that SwitchRPG.com will champion Cosmic Star Heroine.
Now my favorite Switch indie game is not an RPG. It is, I guess, a Metroidvania, SteamWorld Dig 2. Very good game. I put in a lot of time in that game. I love the mechanics, and I kind of like the Metroidvania style. So for me, it would have to be that, and then after that would be maybe Stardew Valley. I put in a little bit of time in that, but I know that's been very successful as well, Stardew Valley, and that's definitely an indie title.
Yeah, well, I mean, and some of the titles that he listed aren't RPGs either, so I think you're
Yeah.
totally fine going out there. Banner Saga for me, the Banner Saga series, love that, and then Blossom Tales was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, yep. Now I do really want to get into Banner Saga. I want to play them all kind of in consecutively. And I will have that opportunity with the physical release, and I was kind of hoping for the trilogy. Now, one thing that bothers me, and I reached out to them and I haven't gotten a definitive answer, is if there was an alternate cover, because at the top of that, and they're not the only game to have it, but there's an additional download, and there's that hideous thing at the top where it just says there's an additional download for this title, and I don't know. I don't want to sound like a snob about it, but that may affect my decision in whether or not I go physical. Honestly, I mean, I'm not going to get my markers and crayons out and color that in. I really want an alternate cover, like kind of like the inside cover, where I can just flip it in, and I think that would be a great fan service, and not a lot of companies are doing that. They got the plain Jane white, in their inner jacket, and that kind of bothers me. Now, you don't need to go all out, like, I forget what company does it, where they go all out and they get you manual, get you posters and all these little things that come with the game. You don't need to do that, but I mean, dish out whatever it is and just put an inside art, and it goes a long way. It really does. And I really hope they do that. I really do.
Let me ask you this: would it have been as bad if it had been on the back?
No. If it was on the back, that's okay, because there's a lot of kind of
information on the back.
Yeah, it's mostly information, but on the front, it's so ugly. It really is, and you don't see that on any other games. I'm thinking for other consoles, maybe because it's not required because of the cart space, the disk space. It's all on the disc, but there's other additional downloads in other games, whether it be day one patches or whatever. You see it, but there's just doesn't have that hideous logo, whatever that is, information thing on there. Ugh. Bothers me.
Then we got a couple questions from Facebook. First off, any news on Persona 5 to the Switch that you may have heard about? And my quick answer to that is no, unfortunately, and my ear is to the ground with that, because I have said for months that P4, P5, either of those to the Switch would sell units. It would sell, the game itself would sell really well. It would be just a home run. So I've got my eyes peeled for news on that, and there's just really not. Once this question popped up, I did some searching. There was some stuff from last year. The sort of the most recent thing I could find of substance was from January, where they were talking about there was a Persona survey that Atlas put out that makes you believe, that asking like what kind of games do you want in the future,
what consoles do you play, or whatever.
Yeah, so the list of choices for platform, it did include Nintendo Switch and a host of others. So who knows? I like I said, I think that it would be a home run. Unfortunately, we don't really have any solid leads or news on that.
Yeah, no solid news. Now, I think the closest thing will come to this will be SMT5,
Mhm.
Shin Megami Tensei. That would be the closest thing. Now, kind of on the same rails that you were on, if P4 or P5, if they were to release some sort of ultimate edition with each one of those games, whether digitally or physically, that I feel like it would outsell what the PlayStation 4 would do. I really do. I think it would push Switch units, no doubt, but I feel like it would outsell whatever PlayStation sales were. I really do.
Because I honestly think, because I mean, we had sort of I'm trying to think which came first, because with Persona 4, you had Persona 4 and then Persona 4 Golden. So was Golden the first time it was in the US? I can't remember. I can't remember really how it worked,
Okay.
but Golden came to the Vita, and people just, I mean, people loved it on the Vita.
Hmm.
And so that's why I think, like, in this situation, I think a lot of people would rebuy it, even PS4 owners, if they have a Switch. I think that they would rebuy it, because it is that good of a game, and it is a game that would be that good in the form factor of the Switch. So,
Right. Yeah.
and then lastly, also from Facebook, we've got a question: what would you like to see next from Octopath developers? We sort of answered this earlier, but give me a quick take, Gio. What would you like to see next from the Octopath team?
Um, like you said, we kind of mentioned this before. I do want to see all the characters kind of mean something together. You know, you got all these characters. I want to see something kind of overarching thing. Now, if that's if the question is meant for Octopath in general, or if it's, I'm not sure if it's meant for, like I say, another project. I'm not sure.
What do you want to see the developers work? I would say like their next project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, more of the same.
Mhm.
I have no, I don't have any issues with the game gameplay wise. Technically, it's fine for me. I just would I want a bit of more of a story. I mean, I'm okay with the 8 different stories, but I want one main story. I think
Yeah.
they could do that because their stories are kind of generic in a way, but I think they could do a better job with that. But musically, it's fine. Visually, it's beautiful. You know, I have no other problems with the game, honestly.
Yeah. So what I would like is something like what Gio say. I think we're in complete agreement. We've been, like we said, hailing this ever since we really got
Yeah,
information about the game. But I think that you could easily have some sort of once again sort of a throwback to vintage story tropes. Have some sort of world's-ending threat, worldwide threat. You could still have these smaller stories, because the thing is, I like that they're all individual and that they all sort of have their own narrative. I like that, but if you could seed like their reasons for doing all these things had some sort of anchor point,
hmm,
that they're all sort of revolving around. And so then, instead of, oh, you go here, 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 maybe you choose a character in the beginning. You can still choose a character to play, and that's like your main character, but give that person a reason to go to one of the other characters. Give them a reason to go to one of the other characters' towns.
right,
Maybe you get to a point in the story where it's like, uh, a general comes to you and said, "Okay, well, we need to either go to A, B, or C to defend. We need to defend that town." Well, some of your other party members are at A, B, or C, so you get to choose. Okay, I'm going there. So that's your reason for going there, and
right.
then the quest makes you meet one of the people there. So I think something like that, but so that you got that main story anchor, and that all of their stories, like I said, you can still experience all of their stories, but the main meaning is you have some sort of anchor point, and there is a reason for your characters interacting and coming together. So that's sort of my thing, is an evolution.
And one other thing that they either need to fix in the next whatever else they do, or just get rid of our side quests. Now, in Octopath, side quests they don't give you any direction really at all on what you need to do. Obviously, you kind of you have to try and figure it out with what you've just been told or read. You just kind of have to figure it out. But they almost seem meaningless to any story other than the person telling you or giving you the side quest. So again, either make it meaningful or just don't do it at all.
For those who aren't aware, if you haven't seen already, our official staff review of Octopath Traveler is on the site now. Meatball Sub played and reviewed the game, and he does sort of give a rundown of all the main mechanics of the game, spoiler free, and so you can go check that out at switchrpg.com. And he does touch on the side quests a bit, and he was very positive on the quest. So. So you get sort of Geo's perspective here, but if you would like sort of the other perspective of side quests, you can go read Meatball Sub's his review and see sort of which sort of where they fall for you guys. And then also real quick, Cosmic Star Heroine. There was a comment about we hope that we champion it. Just so everyone knows, I don't know if it will be published when this goes live, but I have in fact read our official staff review of Cosmic Star Heroine for the Nintendo Switch, and I gotta say that we will be really supporting that game. It's a really good game. We're excited to see it on Switch, and we will be pushing that because
some inside information here,
and it is a good review too. Coming from someone who doesn't review a lot, but he did a really, really great job.
Good.
All right, Geo, you know what time it is?
Right now it's 11. Oh, no.
Well,
what time is
it? It is.
For you it might be different, but
it's
side quest time.
Side quest time.
How could
Oh my goodness, it's been like 5 episodes since we had a side quest.
That's like 35 years in dog years.
You know what? I should
rephrase
that. It hasn't been 5 episodes since we had a side quest. We have them. In fact, they're filling up our quest log.
Yeah.
There's a backlog of them, but we've had so much main quest for so many episodes. But it's time to knock out a side quest.
Sure, let's do it.
All right, so this week what we've got is I can bring back my side quest music. It's been a while. This week what we've got is what is your favorite or most memorable sort of physical piece of gaming, whether that's a game, like an actual physical game, or a console, or maybe a collector's item that you own or have owned in the past. Do you want to go first?
I can go first. Now, I did mention this, I want to say it was maybe 3 episodes ago.
I think it was the last side quest we had.
Yeah, it might have been. But I actually do own my original Super NES box. I went there. It was Kmart. I remember going there with my father, buying it. It even has the UPC code taken out because you had to mail in the code for proof of purchase to get Mario All-Stars. So I had to get Mario All-Stars. One thing, my father has since passed, but I have his signature on the credit card receipt. I have all the information he had to fill out for it was warranty information. I wonder if it's still good. I don't think so. But that it's got the 1-800 number. It's got all that. But I have all the receipts for it. It's my original Super NES is in there, and that has to be my ultimate of. And I'm looking at it right now. It has to be my ultimate of all my collection here. If I was to go outside of that, I do have. It's not a game. It's a chest. It's a toy chest, and it's from Super Mario 3. It has Super Mario 3 graphics on it. It has Legend of Zelda graphics on it. Basically from I want to say the graphics are from the cartoon. I don't know if you recall the cartoon, but I'm a little older than
I
you.
know about it. I've never seen it.
Yeah, so it's got the graphics of the Legend of Zelda cartoon, the Mario Brothers cartoons on there. It's just something different. Like I said, it's a little wooden toy chest, probably about 18 inches cubed. And I think whenever someone new comes in here, you know, they're looking at all my junk, and that is typically one of the first things they'll notice. They're like, "Oh my God, that is so cool. I've never seen this." And you know, for me, I have like so many things in here. I'm like, "How have you never like? What about all this other stuff?" But that's typically the one thing that people gravitate to. You know, I have my Power Glove, you know, in the box. I have a bunch of other stuff in the box, and that's usually one of the things they see is this little toy chest, and I'll post a picture of it at some point. But that would I think that's probably my coolest thing.
Cool. So for me, it's actually going to be two consoles, and it's going to be one that I still have, and then one that I don't have anymore. But my one of my sort of favorite memories was actually when the original Destiny came out, and they released the Destiny PS4. It was a glacier white PS4 with the white controller, and it was boxed with the original Destiny, and that was the first console that I ever personally bought for myself. That was the first time that my brother and I each had a console, because this was like the first console generation that there wasn't a lot of local multiplayer, and if you did multiplayer, it was, you know, you both had to have a console.
Yeah,
so this was like the first generation we both had to sort of go our own ways with that. And so my glacier white PS4 was like the first piece of hardware that I bought for myself. And so for that reason, it was really special. And like I did the whole pre-order thing from GameStop, and I went at midnight. You know, it was actually like 8 p.m. Because they had like Halo LAN party and like the Destiny launch stuff. There's trivia, and you know, hung out for several hours, waiting for midnight to get my PS4. So that was like the coolest thing. It to this date is my favorite aesthetic for the consoles. I loved that original look for the PS4, like the angular architecture, and that with just the sleek white. It was just beautiful. And unfortunately, because at the time I was a poor college teacher, part-time, and to make the bills meet that month, I had to sell it. So I no longer have my pretty Glacier PS4.
Did you save the box?
No. I did save it, and then I shipped it in the box. So whoever got it got a Glacier White PS4 in really good condition. I did play it a lot, but like I never like moved it. So it was really good condition, and then I shipped it in the original box. So the one that got away, and now I know like who knows how expensive they are now, because you know that was such a limited run, you know. So that meant a lot, and I don't have it anymore, and that's like one of my big regrets. But something that I still do have, and that means a lot to me, is my original PS2. I have two PS2s. I have one that I bought more recently, because the first one that we ever had, we got in 2003 or 4, and I got it for my birthday. It was a huge surprise. I had no idea I was getting one. And my brother and I, our birthdays are like 2 weeks apart. There's 2 years between us, but our birthdays fall 2 weeks apart. So we shared a lot of birthdays growing up, and birthday gifts. You know, we would kind of like cheat a little bit and be like, okay, well, if we combine, you know, our birthdays, then we could like get something bigger. So, but this was something like our parents ignored all of our suggestions. And it was the best way to be ignored possible, because they surprised us with this PS2, and I got it with Madden 2004, I think, and one of the MLB games at the time.
Michael Vick cover, right?
Yeah, Michael Vick cover, yeah.
Yeah.
And then one of the Major League Baseball games, I think 989 Sports back in the day.
Yep.
So that was really cool. I went from N64 to that PS2, and that thing was a workhorse for many, many, many years, and I still have it on my desk out there.
That's awesome.
And
That
I'll
system
just
was around forever.
yeah, and I'll just always sort of carry that with me. Like we took that thing apart so many times to clean it out to make it last as long as possible. It had gotten to the point where it like stopped reading discs half the time. But I'm just gonna carry it. It could be an empty shell, but like that was the thing that we got, now 15 years ago. And there's going to be. So my PS2 and my PS4 are like my two sort of go-tos for memories.
That's awesome. And yes, take it from me. Do not get rid of that thing ever. And I know you're saying that now, but just definitely don't get rid of it. Ever.
Gio's going to come and haunt me.
No, because I've had so many things that I've traded in or whatever, and just totally regret it.
Yeah.
You end up in 10 years when you're old as I am or whatever.
Remember that time when I had a glacier wide PS4?
You'll be wanting to buy it back again, and
I'm gonna track down that person I sold it to.
You see what I mean? So you're spending too much money. So be smart. Hang on to that PS2.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, so that wraps up our side quest, and that actually wraps up our episode 16. We do want to give a shout out because at the end of this episode, we've got brand new outro music. Our lovely Super Mario RPG intro music is still there. You still heard it at the beginning. We love it. But then we also kind of want to introduce some new voices to the show, to the community, and we have a new community member who goes by the name of Sarah, who has graciously allowed us to use their battle music remix for Octopath Traveler. It's very appropriate since Octopath's on the brain right now. It's in everybody's minds, and this remix of the battle music is amazing. So it's going to be our outro music, and you guys should listen all the way through because it is legit. It's really good.
It is really good.
And all their music has been really good too. They're doing a whole album of Octopath remixes. So listen up for that in just a few minutes. And that's actually going to wrap up episode 16 of the Switch RPG podcast. Thank you so much for listening and for supporting. And for everyone who sent in their questions, we appreciate it. Remember, you can keep those things coming by emailing podcast@switchrpg.com or posting in that podcast thread on Discord at discord.switchrpg.com. Remember, you can listen to the show each and every Wednesday morning as far as US goes. I say that and then I feel bad because our European listeners is going to be different, and we appreciate those because we've got a big European audience, so you guys rock. Anyway, you can listen to this podcast each and every week whenever it comes out. There you go. Or you can listen at our website, switchrpg.com, or you can listen on your favorite podcasting app. We want to remind you, if you do listen on an app, leaving a rating and review is one of the best ways that you can support us for absolutely free. If you really enjoy, consider giving us 5. If you really enjoy what you're listening to, consider giving us 5 stars. That would be amazing. If you leave us a review, we'll read it on the show. If you like what you're here, remember you can head over to patreon.com/switchrpg and support us monetarily if you've got a few dollars to spare each month. But if not, do not worry, because you just being a part of our community, lending your eyes, your ears, your voices is good enough for us. It's what we love. Remember, speaking of eyes, you can watch us on youtube.com/youtube.switchrpg.com. There we go. And finally, remember, you can head over to switchrpg.com for all of your Nintendo Switch needs for RPGs. Until next episode, I'm gonna go finish Dragon Quest 1 and not cry doing it.
Oh, don't cry. We need an unemotional film next week.
Next year, huh?
No, not next year. I'm sorry, that was a slip of the tongue there. I apologize. All right, goodbye.
See ya.